Right now, somewhere, in your garage, a drill bit is doing a job it was never built for. It's wandering across metal. It's cracking tile. It's cooking itself alive in concrete. 7 bits, 7 very different jobs. And at the end, one strange-looking bit that quietly replaces a dozen of the others. Start with the one you already own. The twist bit is the default drill bit of planet Earth, and almost nobody knows how it actually works. The spiral grooves running up the shaft are called flutes, and they're not decoration. The cutting lips at the tip carve the material, and the flutes act like a conveyor belt, lifting every chip and every grain of dust up and out of the hole while you drill. Block that conveyor, and debris packs in behind the tip until the bit jams, overheats, or snaps. That design is why one bit handles wood, plastic, and softer metals like aluminum. It's the generalist. But generalists have weaknesses, and this one lives at the very tip, a simple V-point that skates across hard surfaces before it decides where to bite. On lumber, nobody cares. On steel, where a hole 2 millimeters off ruins the part, you tap a small dimple with a center punch first, and the bit falls into it like a train onto rails. One buying tip most people get backwards. That gold titanium-coated bit isn't better steel. It's ordinary steel wearing a hard jacket. The jacket works until the first time someone sharpens it off. Plain black bits made from proper high-speed steel outlive cheap gold ones every single time. The brad point bit fixes the twist bit's one flaw. A needle-sharp spur sits dead center on the tip, and the moment you press it into wood, the hole's position is decided, locked, before a single flute has touched the surface. Where a twist bit negotiates, a brad point commits. The 2 raised cutting edges beside the spur slice the wood fibers instead of tearing them, so the back of the workpiece comes out clean instead of blown apart into splinters. Slide a rubber depth collar onto the shank, and the bit even stops itself at a preset depth, hole after identical hole. The trade-off is total specialization. This tip geometry is for timber, full stop. Touch it to metal, and you'll grind that beautiful spur into a stub in seconds. Concrete doesn't get cut. It fights back. Brick, block, and stone are abrasive. They grind tools away instead of yielding to them. So the masonry bit cheats. A wedge of tungsten carbide, one of the hardest materials we can manufacture, is brazed into its tip. The carbide doesn't slice the concrete. It crushes it, particle by particle, and survives doing it. Look closely, and the whole geometry is different. The carbide head flares slightly wider than the shaft behind it, and the flutes wind up the body in a lazier spiral, built for scooping out crushed powder, because trapped concrete dust mixes with heat and turns into a paste that seizes the hole. And for real masonry work, rotation alone is a losing battle. A hammer drill slams the bit forward thousands of times a minute while it spins. Crush, turn, crush, turn. That's the only realistic way through dense concrete. One mindset shift: masonry bits wearing out fast isn't a quality problem. It's the price of drilling through stone, priced in from the factory. Here's where beginners destroy bathrooms. Tile looks like masonry, so people grab the masonry bit, flip on hammer mode, and watch a crack sprint across a $200 porcelain wall. Because tile is hard but brittle, it can't absorb impact. Every hammer blow sends shock waves through the glaze until it shatters from the inside, often nowhere near the hole. The tile bit takes the opposite philosophy. A spear-shaped carbide point, pure rotation, zero percussion. It grinds a polite little crater through the glaze while the tile stays whole. Low speed, light pressure, and let the point do everything. 2 field tricks. A strip of masking tape over the mark stops the point skating across the glossy surface, and a sponge of cold water on the bit keeps the tip from burning out. And know your enemy. Modern porcelain is so dense that plain carbide gives up. For porcelain, you want the diamond-tipped version. The Spade Bit doesn't apologize for anything. A flat steel paddle with a spur in the middle, built for one purpose: huge holes through wood at maximum speed. The spur pins the location. The 2 flat edges tear through the grain, and it hogs out in seconds what a twist bit couldn't manage at all, anywhere from ½ inch to 1.5 inches across. This is the electrician's and plumber's bit. Cables and pipes have to travel through studs and joists. Nobody will ever see those holes. And pretty was never the assignment. Speed is the assignment. It's one nasty habit: The moment that spur pokes through the far side, the flat blades grab the last fibers and blow a crater out of the back face. If the back matters, clamp a scrap board behind the workpiece, or drill until just the spur emerges, then finish from the other side. When the hole gets bigger than any bit can handle, you stop drilling the hole and start cutting its outline. The hole saw is a steel cup with saw teeth around the rim, riding on a small pilot bit in the center. The pilot lands first and anchors everything. The toothed ring then carves a perfect circle, and the leftover disc, the core, rides out trapped inside the cup. That's why every door lock set on the planet was installed with one of these, and the family is bigger than people think. Bimetal cups for wood, plastic, and thin steel, carbide teeth for harder, nastier materials, diamond rims for stone. Two things they never print on the box. That slot in the side of the cup exists so you can lever the stuck core out with a screwdriver. It will get stuck every time. And for a clean hole, cut until the pilot just breaks through, then finish the cut from the opposite face. The two cuts meet in the middle, and both surfaces stay perfect. And here's the strange one from the beginning. The bit that replaces a drawer full of others. The step bit looks like a chrome Christmas tree, and every tier of that cone is a different drill size. It enters the metal at its smallest diameter, and every millimeter you push, the next step opens the hole a size wider. One bit, a dozen exact hole sizes, chosen simply by how deep you go. Thin sheet metal is where it's untouchable. Electrical panels, enclosures, bodywork. Regular twist bits grab thin sheet and tear ragged triangles on the way through. The step bit can't do that. Each new step shaves the previous hole's edge clean, so it deburrs its own work as it cuts. The quality test takes one glance. On a proper step bit, every step has a small machined flat that lets that diameter truly cut. Bargain bin versions skip it, and instead of cutting, each step just bulldozes the rim of the hole into a smeared mess. 7 bits, one rule underneath all of them. The tip has to match the material, not the other way around. Get that right, and the drill does the thinking for you. If this saved your next project, subscribe. The whole workshop gets decoded here, one tool at a time.